I've always believed that when the Watchers came down in the days of in the days of Jared, and Noah's great-grandfather, in essence, they were using human material, blending it with animal material, creating a life form outside of the divine order. But why would they want to do that? Well, Peter and Jude both quote the book of Enoch.
Absolutely.
In saying that their purpose for doing that was they wanted to leave their fixed habitation, their place in heaven. And they saw that new biological construct as a portal, a way, a method to move from their reality into our three-dimensional reality. So isn't it interesting that in a way, it isn't just metaphysical gateways, stargates, portals, thin places where the barrier is thin between some other dimensional reality and our reality. But these entities can also use biology. By corrupting what God made, they can create a unit into which they can extend themselves into our three dimensions. So in that sense, that too is a kind of portal. That's what you wrote about in Xenogenesis. That's what I wrote about in, well, the whole title, Forbidden Gates. We're talking about a gateway, a doorway. Now, you were telling me a moment ago that just today, the Chinese have revealed that they've already started germline genetic engineering, which is kind of really the taboo line that you're not supposed to cross over in human genetic engineering, right?
Right, and can I say something? From everything I've been told, everything I know, and I couldn't know this without the people who have access to it, they're so far beyond what they're admitting to. They are so far beyond. Okay, it was tough for people when I first went on talk radio, the short version, 20 years ago, to accept that human beings could be cloned, okay? Mm-hmm. It was really tough. People say, well, I can't read that in popular science. Well, of course you can't, and I'll leave off what I should say after that. But the point being is, this is we got to keep this right. Yeah. The point being is that they don't understand that we're so far advanced, okay? I asked a special operations general, active duty. So it's not some guy retired 40 years ago with the top secret clearance, okay? I said, how far are you realistically? He says, when you take the alien technology, we're thousands of years in advance. Thousands. Well, how can you be thousands of years in advance when you're still dealing with rockets that you have to use chemical propulsion? Well, that's only for the public. You see, there's a giant sleight of hand going on. This is the magician's, what would you say, world of illusion, politics, and what you see that we hear, the wars and all the things they do. That's just to keep the masses distracted and extract money from them. But the real advances in propulsion, in human genetics, I remember a man, I tried to lead him to the Lord. I could not do it. I failed. He was an illuminist. His dad was a super rich guy. And the point being is, when you see a grown man and also work for a certain intelligence agency as somebody that takes out bad people, the point being is when you see a grown man telling you that there are genetic experiments in secret government labs, and this guy's a tough guy who bragged about all the evil he's done, and yet he weeps and weeps like a little baby. And I tried. I couldn't. He'd gone over the line, but he did want his son. But he just said this. He said, no matter what they tell you, it's way beyond that. It's way beyond that. And he talked about the literal island of Dr. Moreau.
Well, Steve, if people have a hard time believing that fact, last year, the Academy of Medical Sciences, which is Britain's equivalent of our FDA, put out a book 150 pages long, saying that literally thousands and thousands of what they call ACHM animals containing human materials. Yes. Now, they weren't just talking about embryos that had, 1% human genetic material, because they said that these things had been raised to maturity. They said some of them borderline human sentience. Right. So this is advanced technology, but they also talked about very disturbing things about how some of these creatures, they said, some of these creatures might also be able to procreate with regular humans. So we are literally now talking about the island of Dr. Moreau.
We are.
And this is not weekly world news. This is a highly level placed body of scientists that work for the British government that put this out. And interestingly, they weren't calling for a prohibition on the science. They were saying that there ought to be a regulatory, international regulatory body. Well, that's what they're talking about now today. China admits that they've been doing germline genetic engineering. You hear this again. Well, we need an international regulatory committee to get everybody to agree to a moratorium. It's never going to happen, right? If the science exists, tell me what we can make of this.
The Garden of Eden is now as real, the temptation, as it was in Adam and Eve's day. It is now. They are trying to create, the Luciferian scientific make war on God community is literally trying to do away with all humanity. You've warned about it in Singularity. I've warned about it. We've both written about it. It's not a future event. It's happening now. The wars that are getting ready to happen as Russia, China, everything's basically going, if you will, ballistic. It's like nuclear rods going into a reactor. And the point is I don't know when it explodes, but it's just about to explode. As it explodes in the natural realm, it will explode in the negative spiritual.